initially, from like the get-go, I said I was gonna do a trilogy of EPs. So I started off with Dawn, which was my, like it felt like I was just like at the dawn of my this music thing and being a creative. And I was still in Nelspruit then in the hood. So I didn't know much beyond the fact that I really just loved music and I wanted to explore that. I didn't even know a lot of people. And then this one day I was working at the bank and then this guy rocked up and he looked quite interesting. So I used to just like if I saw someone that looked a bit different, because Nelspruit is quite conservative. So when someone looks a
Yeah.
bit like fashionable or like trendy or like super out of the box, you want to know what they do. So being the invasive person that I am, I kind of like asked that client what he does for a living. And he was like, I'm a photographer and I'm based in Joburg. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I make music actually. I'm just like here trying to make ends meet and also like save up to record my first project. I just don't know who to work with, just like random chat. And then he was like, I actually know some producers back in Joburg, so maybe I could connect you with them. And that's how I was introduced to the guys that produced that Dawn EP. They used to call themselves the Art Clan guys, and they were like a producer trio. And they just like sent me a couple of instrumentals, which were like super hip hop because they were rappers. And I was like, but I sing. At that time, I hadn't even started rapping because I have a lisp. So I used to like secretly want to rap, but then I also felt like it probably would be challenging for me. So then I decided to just approach those instrumentals like, with like R&B melodies and there was a bit of like, that tribal sound because obviously I also grew up on like people like Busim Song and them. So they definitely influenced my sound. Just to see what could come out of that, just fusing that world of like rap because that's the sound that I was given, but then choosing to sort of rebel against that and do like something completely different
Yeah,
and
that's really
something
cool.
that I thought hadn't really been done before. And I wasn't quite sure what the reception was gonna be, but at that time I wasn't even thinking about that. I was more excited to just like express myself.
Isn't that what's like really fun about the first project? Like when you like I know for some people they come together, with the intent of like we're gonna be a band and we're gonna get successful. But a lot of people when they create like their first album or their first EP or their first couple songs, it's such a pure thing because it's like this dream come to reality, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It felt exactly that way for me. I remember how excited I got when I got into that studio for the first time. And it was at the SABC because
Oh
those guys
wow.
that I was working with were actually still students. So it wasn't even like a legit thing
Oh
because
nice. It was a
they were like
hustle.
students at the Academy of Sound Engineering and they had access to the SABC studios as part of like their, I don't know what they call it, but like
And
they
many
had access to that.
many a mixtape in Durban has been recorded because of, people studying. So
Mm.
that's totally
And
fine,
then you get access to like the coolest equipment ever and you make magic. Yeah, so we worked on that and then I put it on SoundCloud because I didn't know like how to get on these streaming platforms and whatnot. And at that time I had no
When was that?
management. In 2015, I started recording the project in 2014 when I started dating this boy, Sandile.
When you were still in Nelspruit or had you moved out?
I was still in Nelspruit and I was still like 9 to 5ing at the bank.
Was that scandalous at all in Nelspruit? Or like were you allowed to be queer in public there?
Um, at that time, I was actually still in the closets,
Okay.
surprisingly. So I couldn't fully be myself. I did take my chances every once in a while when I felt super adventurous, but like it felt quite restrictive, and I was in the hood, so I also knew that like there was the possibility of being killed for just being
Yeah.
yourself. So I sort of like navigated with that in mind the whole time. And the only place I could sort of be myself was either like at home in my room or within the music. And I think that is actually why I was like pulled towards the music because sort of had this release where I could speak. And the cool thing about like, creating art is you could write a song and have everyone believe it's about something else. When deep down, you're actually speaking about something you wouldn't necessarily be able to express in conversation. So I think that was the cool thing about the music for me. I could be myself within that without anyone even like picking it up. Like I was writing love songs about this boy that I love so much. That whole Don EP was mostly about him because also like I was composing these songs while he was there with me. And that was my first like real boyfriend outside of like the older men that took advantage of me when I was a child because they needed like, to just I guess, the man, that was the first time I knew what it felt like to be in love and to be in love with someone that was like around the same age group as me. And then yeah, then I put that out and then Tshepang from the Blackjacks ended up like hearing one of my songs and that's how I was introduced to that whole gang, Tshepang, Moonchild, Robin Third Floor. And then yeah, and then after that, then like I remember Tshepang texting me on WhatsApp and I freaked out and I spent like a whole week not responding, just looking at the message and going, I
Oh
can't believe
wow.
it's him because I grew up on like 5FM and I'd hear like people talking about them or like their music or I remember at some point they were like looking for a lead singer and I was like, oh my god, but I'm in Nelspruit, how would they even like find me? And then here's this guy now like texting me and saying your music is so dope, you should come to Joburg so we can work. I Yeah, so that's how that essentially led to like the creation of Daylight. Then we started like exchanging ideas between myself, Tshepang, and FKA Mash, who at the time was not as huge as he is now.